I was certainly there that night, John Lindsay remembered when Tash interviewed him in 2023. John was the only surviving founding member of Switchboard we could trace. Technically, John found Tash. He had waited for her outside a talk she was giving at the Barbican Centre in London on the history of Switchboard during the Out and About exhibition curated by the Bishopsgate Institute in 2023. True to character, John had a bone to pick with Tash on some of the wording used in the exhibition, and Tash was enthralled. She had heard of John through one person or another, but never managed to track him down. Many of the people who were active in the 70s and early 80s had left without staying connected to the charity. But there he stood in front of her, not having attended a talk, but having waited outside patiently to tell her what was wrong. Tash listened attentively, and in that moment heard the richness in the history of Switchboard, in the collective memories of those who remembered. She thought to herself, John is my history. These queer ancestors held it all in their minds like precious archaeological finds that needed to be recorded and protected. She took his email address and promised to get the discrepancy looked into. For what it's worth, the discrepancy was the exhibition referred to Switchboard as London Gay Switchboard, not Gay Switchboard. John made it very clear that the founding intention of Switchboard was to be a national helpline for anyone, anywhere.
My bathroom is a private kind of place, very special kind of place, the only place where I can stay, making faces at my face. My bathroom is my very special room, where I primp and fuss and groom, where I can get away from all and really feel in bloom. I'm free. Cream and dream.
There's the bath on. And yes, little taps are on. Welcome to Radio Clash. This is 403, an early bath. And I'm recording this in the bathroom, although not necessarily the same time as the bath you were hearing in the background. But anyway, you just heard Hannah Williams and the Affirmations with The Only Way Out Is Through. Then before that, you heard a little bit of My Bathroom from the 1969 American Standard LP about their bathroom accessories by, I think it's Pat Stanton and Gignola are on that, but there's various musicians on that album. Don Siegel, I think, wrote the music. As you might have guessed, this episode of Radio Clash is about my bathroom. Well, not really my bathroom, my bathroom. Although I might cream in my bathroom for now. I have to thank PDS Mix for reminding me of that track, because we've played it in full on the podcast before, and I generally don't do repeats, but given I was already going to call this an early bath, I thought it was perfect. And it's because I've been having lots of early baths in the middle of the night, like 3, 4, 5 in the morning when electricity is cheap, although not at the moment, hence why I'm not having a bath when I'm recording this. Came up with a soundtrack, 300 and odd tracks, just for the bath time experience. And then I was listening to it in the bath, and I'm thinking this would make a very good podcast. And depending on how I recorded this, you will also have heard or will hear me reading from a book called The Blog Books by Tash Walker and Adam Smith. And those refer to John. Yes, John's famous. It's in the intro. John was one of the founders of Switchboard. It's amazing that they've now done past 4 million calls, and they are an institution in themselves. But he was interviewed for the Logbooks podcast before he died, and you can hear that. Go and search out Logbooks Series 4, Episode 1, and you'll hear John. That was emotional when I heard that. So I felt I had to talk about this, but also when I got the book, and my book has been signed by Tash and Adam, dedicated to John and me. It was a very emotional event going to the talk they did. Good. It's good that he's getting the recognition he deserves. This musical selection is quite down tempo, and as you might guess, I can't really do there's the odd up tempo thing coming up, but a lot of it is quite down tempo. And it's, as I say, it's the music I listen to as I lie in the bath and think about things. So we're going to start with Goodbye Horses by Crossers.
Always had this thing to call my own. Just one slip and it was gone. A minor flaw and then it fell. I brought this house down on myself. Didn't know just what I'd done. I didn't know just what I'd done. I don't remember anymore what I used to be. Where is the quiet piece of home where I could breathe? Just like a razor to my soul when I'm alone. Oh, I had this thing to call my own. I'm so confused, I cannot see. This wave of guilt is drowning me. It feels like blood is on my hands. I'd give it all for a second chance. I still don't know just what I've done. I still don't know just what I've done. I don't remember anymore what I used to be. There was a fire burning strong inside of me. Just like the soothing, loving warmth of summer sun. Oh, I had this thing to call my own. I had this thing to call my own. I had this thing to call my own. I never meant to let you go. 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 To let you go. To let you go. To let you go.
I heard what you said and I can tell you it's true. I heard you said that I am crazy about you. Turn in my sleep, a bad dream is over. Think of you and shall I ever recover? Now I want to wake up. How I want to wake up. I stood at the kitchen sink, my radio played songs like Tainted Love and Love is Strange. As I listened and the words hit my ears, I cried certain tears. Now I want to wake up. How I want to wake up. Wake up, 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 wake up. It's mad, it's mad to be in love with someone else. When you're in love with me, she's in love with me. But you know as well as I do, I can never think of anyone but you. All my life, all my life. Play with fire, play with guns. It's easy to impress someone. Turning in my sleep, you call me a fool. To fall in love, is it so uncool? Now I want to wake up. How I want to wake up. Now I want to wake up. Wake up, 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 wake up,
pushing through the market square. So many mothers sighing. News had just come over. We had 5 years left to crying. News guy wept and told us Earth was really dying. Cried so much his face was wet. Then I knew he was not lying. I heard telephones, opera house, favorite melodies. I saw boys and toys and electric irons and TVs. My brain hurt like a warehouse. It had no room to spare. I had to clear out so many things to store everything in there. And all the fat, skinny people, and all the tall, short people, and all the nobody people, and all the somebody people. I never thought I'd meet so many people. went off her head, hit some tiny children. If the black hadn't pulled her off, I would think she would have killed them. A soldier with a broken arm makes the stair to the wheels of a Cadillac. Cop knelt down and kissed the feet of the priest, and the queer threw up at the side of it. I think I saw you in an ice cream parlor, drinking milkshakes cold and long, smiling and waving and looking so fine. Don't think you knew you were in this song. And it was cold and it rained, so I felt like an actor. And I thought of more, I wanted to get back there. Your face, your race, and the way that you talk. I kiss you, you're beautiful, I want you to walk. We got 5 years stuck on my eyes. 5 years, what a surprise. 5 years, my brain hurts a lot. 5 years, that's all we got. 5 years, what a surprise. 5 years, stuck on my eyes. 5 years, my brain hurts a lot. 5 years, that's all we got. 5 years, 5 long years. 5 years, been 5 long years. 5 years, my brain hurts a lot. 5 years, that's what we got. 5 years, 5 years, 5 years. Oh, 5 years, that's all we got. 5 years, my brain hurts a lot. 5 long years, 5 long years. 5 long years, 5 long years. Oh, 5 long years. 5 years, that's all we got.
When I wake up in the morning, pale autumn light, my hands upon the pillow are still clutching night, and upon my eyes seem to break the blackest dawn. So when I hear your words, babe, then I know what's coming on. For your laughter keeps flowing. For your laughter keeps flowing all over me. And sometimes I get to thinking, what's the use of going on? And what's the use of loving when hatred is so strong? And if all action is empty and silence only weak, it's when I see your smile, babe, I continue to seek for your laughter keeps flowing. For your laughter keeps flowing all over me. My life is a reflection of the confusion all about. So when I see your face, babe, just breaks off the dark. For your laughter keeps flowing. For your laughter keeps flowing.
And that was Beverly Glen Copeland with De Rocher, originally from 1970. That Logbooks book talks about listening to your queer elders, and that's one of my trans elders, and I need to know a lot more about trans history. It's something that was running tangential to my life. I was learning a lot about gay history, and that book intersects into a lot of my history, but there is a big part of my history that's missing. Yeah, I really love Beverly Glen Copeland. He was on Six Music recently with Elizabeth, his wife, and it was a joy to behold. And you will be hearing some more Beverly Glen Copeland later, but that's from his first album. Then before that we had a cover of a queer artist, which is Easy Star All Stars 5 years from their Ziggy Stardust album from 2023. Somehow I totally missed that. There are some really nice covers of David Bowie on there. And given what's happening in Iran, I'm not going to avoid it. All the stuff that's going on in the world, seemingly an attempt to restart or initiate World War III. Feels like we've got less than 5 years. Who knows? And then before that we had an artist I've been listening to a lot very recently, going back to my roots, Pet Shop Boys from 1987. But that's the breakdown mix of I Want to Wake Up from Actually. I'm not sure where that was released. I know it was on the Actually Further Listening album, but I don't know if it ever actually a B-side or whether it was only released on that compilation. I've been going back to It Couldn't Happen Here a lot, which didn't fit in this mix. It should have been in this mix, but it doesn't musically fit. Just the sentiments. Obviously, that was about the AIDS crisis, but it feels like it can easily map onto fascism as well. For that we had Royskop, or Drexop, or however you want to pronounce it, with I Had This Thing featuring Jamie Irrepressible, which is Royskop's, or Drexop's, or however, last album. Yep, it is the last album. I'm not going to accept any of their albums because they weren't as good and they shouldn't have come back. If you're going to go away, you have to go away to come back, and don't come back like 5-6 years later. If you're going to do a grand exit, unless you're a diva, you have to go away for at least a decade, if not 2. You can't do this. Oh yeah, actually no, we changed our mind. We're back, 5, 6, 7, 8 years later. No. If you're going to we're not going to do any albums again. You can't then come back with a new album a few years later, which is what they did. And so that is their last album to me. And it's a great album. I just don't understand why they spoiled their legacy with 2 albums that weren't very good. Then before that we had Goodbye Horses from 2021 by Crosses. They covered Goodbye Horses a few times. That's the Q Lazarus track. I have to say thank you to Wonk No to introducing me to all of those covers, because Wonk No, who's a Twitch streamer I listen to quite a lot, they always end on a cover of, or the original, but a version of Goodbye Horses. And so you will hear several versions of Goodbye Horses because it's kind of like seeped into my consciousness from their stream. I always loved the song from Silence of the Lambs. It's something about it which is like very dark 80s, although it was 91, but it was from the 80s. Very dark 80s, very dark feeling about that track, and very kind of gender non-conforming vocal of Q as well. To quote David Bowie, if you're not sure if they're a boy or a girl, you know, as a agender, non-binary, transgender person, I'm not really so fond of the whole Buffalo Bill thing. Even though I had to study it. I had to, when I was at art school, I did a film class and I had to study Silence of the Lambs. Masterful film, it's an amazing film, but yeah, I'm not fond of the whole transphobic elements of that serial killer. But it's an iconic scene. It's an amazing track, and the spookiness fits very well. Playing my own mashups is always fun. I'm never totally sure whether I should play my mashups. It may sound strange because I put quite a few in, but I quite often take loads out. Quite often I do mashups and I forget I've done them. Especially recently, I've done quite a few and I'm like, oh, did I do that mashup? Oh, yes, I did. And this is one of those that was done very quickly. I can't remember why I did this, but I'm not really selling it, am I? This is partly because I really wanted to use a track by Annie Brun, which is How to Disappear Completely. It's a track that reminds me of Sitting in the Garden when the paramedics were working with John. I mixed it with Teddy Swims' Lose Control. I was listening to it before I recorded this and thinking, no, and then got to the chorus, so I went, yeah, definitely, because it just seems to sum up kind of the lost period. 2026 has been rather lost for me. Especially since January, I haven't done a YouTube video. And yeah, this last couple of months or so, it's just been a bit kind of like having a bit of a mentee bee, as the kids put it, and trying to get out of that and trying to avoid burnout. So this is How to Lose Control Completely, Annie Brun and Teddy Swims by Instamatic.
That's not me. I go where I please. I walk through walls. I float down the leafy.
When you're not next to me,
I'm not here.
I'm falling apart right in front of you. Can't you see? I lose control when you're not next to me.
I'm not here.
Yeah, you're breaking my heart, baby. You make a mess of me.
In a little while, I'll be gone. The moment's already passed. Yeah, it's gone. And I'm not here. This isn't happening. I'm not here. I'm not here.
When you're not next to me, I'm falling apart right in front of you. Can't you see? I lose
Having met John, John wanted to speak for him for longer. This is how we were doing our history, by talking and listening. But reconnecting with him after the exhibition wasn't easy. Tash spent weeks trying to contact him. He checked his email only about once a month, and despite being a founding member of a helpline, he told Tash that he no longer used a telephone. He did, but I set it up, but it wasn't working for about 9 years. They eventually arranged to meet, and on a sweltering August afternoon, Tash walked into the library outside the Barbican Centre and began scouring the aisles for the living book that was John Lindsay. She found him hunched over a library computer researching homosexuality in the Renaissance. Aged 76, John wore a long white beard topped with spectacles, an oversized t-shirt softened by a million washes. It was actually a son. He wasn't great about washing his clothes. I kept having to nag him about that and basically steal them off him. Shorts and sandals. The pair of them found a spot to sit. Tash clicked on the recorder and they began. There were not many people, said John, casting his mind back half a century to the first night at Gay Switchboard. Only a small group of us. John and the others were a group of comrades with a mission and a phone. Oh, it was just a fairly bare mess. I think there was a table, a settee, there were a couple of chairs. It was really only the cardboard boxes. It's amazing. After 50 years, I remember the phone number. Beyond this, John confessed that his memory of the first night was patchy. How could he and others have known the importance of that moment? How could you know that you were starting something that would continue for more than 50 years? The problem is that people I can remember are all dead, said John, carefully placing down the names of those fallen comrades. For the record, names like Ali Bucknell, who worked with John on indexing information for the fledgling helpline. Yeah, he used to talk about Ali Bucknell. He died of AIDS.
never make me, you'll never make me cry. Now I may not mean everything, but I'm happy to have you, love. And don't worry, baby, I'll be alright. And I'll never make you, I'll never make you, I'll never make you cry. So go and do what you want. I know that you have the need. And don't worry, baby, I'll be alright. You'll never make me, you'll never make me, you'll never make me cry.
I want somebody to share the rest of my life, share my innermost thoughts, know my intimate details, someone who'll stand by my side and give me support, and in return he'll get my support. He will listen to me when I want to speak about the world we live in and life in general. And though my views may be wrong, they may even be perverted, he'll hear me out and won't easily be converted to my way of thinking. In fact, he'll often disagree, but at the end of it all, he will understand me. I want somebody who cares for me passionately, with every thought and with every breath. Someone who'll help me see things in a different light. All the things I detest, I will almost like. I don't want to be tied to anyone's strings. I am carefully trying to steer clear of those things. But when I'm asleep, I want somebody who will put their arms around me and kiss me tenderly. Though things like this make me sick, in a case like this, I'll get away with it.
When Tash interviewed John, he no longer remembered the nature of the very first call to switchboard, but he and the others were meticulous record keepers. Where John's memory struggled, the paperwork picked up the story. All that remained of the first night, saved from John's memory, was a stack of sheets of yellowed A4 paper with a pencil grid drawn on. The grid allowed for the volunteers to complete the date, time and type of call and add any comments. The call categories on the very first log sheet included clubs and pubs, medical, VD, venereal disease, and what's on tonight. That first night, Gay Switchboard took a total of 45 calls. John and the others had proven their theory. People needed information and support, and a group of volunteers with a phone line could help them. They knew they'd be busy. When Tash asked John if he was nervous on that first night, he answered, "Oh no, I had a job to do." It was thanks to John that in the early days of Switchboard, volunteers could rely on index cards full of information when answering callers' questions. John, a proud librarian, pushed his glasses up his nose and told Tash at length about his love of indexing, which began as a child with an encyclopedia. He told everyone that story about the first encyclopedia he decided to try and index it. Right, that story was just, it's always, yeah. The first thing that they'd started doing at Switchboard was building up the catalogue so that when telephone calls came in, the people working on the telephone could look at the card index. First of all, it was by going through gay news and picking up everything that was mentioned. John didn't know it then, but he was mapping out queer life, laying it down on those index cards, recording the movements of those living in their queer bodies, creating the foundation of an incredible archive. John was immensely proud to have the organisation itself indexed correctly. That is, lived in the telephone directory under G for gay. This listing was a crucial factor in raising awareness for the fledgling service. With a big grin on his face, John remembered that this recognition wasn't easy. There were negotiations with British Telecom, he told Tash.
nothing more to say, 'cause you're better off alone. It's gotta be this way. You know I've got to go. There's nothing more to say. Surely you will know in the light of day. Gracious in defeat, I've never been victorious, and now you offer me to feel complete. You've given me your trust, 'cause I wanna give the honesty you need, nothing false or dubious. I want us to be all that we can be. I want this for the two of us. You know I've got to go. There's nothing more to say. Surely you will know in the light of day. Wish I had the courage to explain, to let myself be heard. I wish there was a way to break the chain, but I struggle with the words. You say you wanna take me to your bed, but it's hard to know. Maybe it's because we're off our heads. Maybe this is love.
Alexa, hot water on. A very horizontal section. That is Ropes Up with You Know I Have to Go, featuring Jamie Irrepressible again from 2014's The Inevitable End. Then before that we had several Nils Frahm tracks. That was number 2 from All Melody from 2018. Then before that, my favourite electronic album of all time, which is Lone's Galaxy Garden. That's Stan's Tidal Waves from 2012. That has never left my iPod, as several of these tracks haven't left my iPod. They're sort of, it's a mix of newer stuff and things that always stay on my iPod, have been in there for a decade or more. Then before that we had Lottie Kestner. I haven't played Lottie Kestner in a very long time. I don't think I've played this version of Depeche Mode's Somebody from her 2015 album covering Depeche Mode. Lottie Kestner, a bit like Annie Brunn, is a very good coverer of tracks, has a very distinctive voice, is always really beautiful. I think that was self-released. A lot of these things are self-released or independent. I had to go through and make sure no UMG as usual. Before that we had Fleetwood Mac with Never Make Me Cry. That's from Tusk, yes. There are lots of hidden gems on Tusk from 1979. And of course Fleetwood Mac had to be in here. And we even had a reference in the Roix Up about Breaking the Chain, which is the name of my Fleetwood Mac mashup album. But yeah, I didn't realise that there's always lyrical and musical themes that run through that I realise when I start to play them and even edit them, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is why this is here. For that we had Christopher Riley, Not Half Right, from Home to Bolivian, an Elliott Smith tribute album from 2006, I guess. Looking 8. Yeah, the idea of a piano tribute to Elliott Smith is pretty mad in a way, because a lot of stuff doesn't really lend itself to that, but that is a brilliant track. Heat Mice, though, is actually not Elliott Smith. It's a bonus track on Mix City Sons, which is the last Heat Miser album. But he did do his own recording of it later, so... But yeah, it is by him, but it's officially Heat Miser. Then before that, we had Recovery by John Hopkins from 2018's Singularity. Again, some of these tracks I'm really surprised I've not played before, like the Nils Frahm and the John Hopkins, but looking up on radioclash.com, I didn't see anything from those, so amazingly I didn't play these, probably because they were quite long, and I don't know if I've done this in the editing, but I might weave in bits of the reading from the logbooks with the interview with John in between all of this stuff. I think it'd be quite nice to sort of interweave it. And then before that we had Nils Frahm with Kaleidoscope from 2018's All Melody again. That's from Erased Tapes. Erased Tapes, a great label. I haven't checked in with them recently, actually. I used to listen to a lot of Erased Tapes. And then at the start of that section we had Instamatic, a mashup I made, How to Lose Control Completely, Annie Brunn versus Teddy Swims. And yeah, I think the chorus makes that. I wish I could get a better instrumental, but you know, it had to be done with AI, and it was a quickie, I think. The other person I've been listening to a lot, songs of Molly Drake, Nick Drake's mother. They are beautiful. A lot of people don't know that Nick Drake's mother wrote songs and wrote poetry and a artist in her own right, but a lot of her work was not recorded in her lifetime. This is where Nick got the bug, because she and her husband used to record and play songs just for fun. She even did a song responding to Poor Boy by Nick Drake called Poor Mum. Her songs are really good, and they've been covered by people like Tracy Thorn, who should have been in this podcast, but I found out that the Tracy Thorn cover I wanted to use was released on Caroline, which is UMG. UMG is buying it with so many labels, it's very hard to avoid them nowadays. Also the Unthanks, and the Unthanks did a whole album on their own record label called Diversions Vol 4, the songs and poems of Molly Drake, and it is beautiful. And this one, various songs on the album have poetry read out by Gabrielle Drake, Nick's sister. And so this is Bird in the Blue by the Unthanks with a bit of, or I think all of, The Blue Plate by Molly Drake.
In the deep uncertainty of the night, the blue plate hangs on the wall, and I wonder, is it really blue at all, or was that stolen by the thieving light? And who can say whether it will return? Oh, how the quiet plate must yearn for her lost blueness in the dark. For though the day has brought it oft before, she cannot quite be sure. And how can I be sure in the uncertainty of the night that dawn will bring the same world back again? I take for granted the ceiling will be white, and shadows long, and the yellow morning light limpid with a little midnight rain, and apples lying rosy where long grass grows, but no one really knows.
Bird in the blue, tell me where are you flying? Bird in the blue, way over the sea. Bird in the blue, can you hear my heart crying? And carry my true love a message from me. Summer is done and the leaves they are falling. Soon you'll be gone, flying high, flying free. Gone where the sun and the green hills are calling, as they call to my love, but he never told me. My dear love, gone without a word. Shall I send him, my dear love, on the wings of a little bird? Bird in the blue, though I'm trapped in my yearning, bound to the ground, won't you hear my last plea? Bird in the blue, when it's time for returning, will you bring back the spring and my true love to me?
If I could just make it stop, I could tell the whole world to get out of the way. If I could just make it stop, if I could just make it stop, breaking my heart, get out of the way. If I could just make it stop. You see I'm close to the edge, I'm at the end of my rope. The rope is starting to thread, I'm trying to keep my hold. You say I'm something I'm not, but I'm not what I seem. Get my back off the wall. just make it stop, if I could just make it stop, I could tell the world to get out of the way. If I could just make it stop, if I could just make it stop, breaking my heart, get out of the way. If I could just make it stop, if I could just make it stop. Now I'm looking up from a 10-foot hole, see nothing but blue sky shining on my soul as I untie the cord and untwist the knot. We can get where we're going if I could just make it stop, if I could just make it stop, I could tell the world to get out of the way. If I could just make it stop, if I could just make it stop from breaking my heart, get out of the way. If I could just make it stop, if I could just make it stop.
I took my love, I took it down. I climbed a mountain and it turned around, and I saw my reflection in snow-covered hills till the landslide broke me down. Oh, mirror in the sky, what is love? Can a child within my heart rise above? Can I sail through the changing ocean tides? Can I handle the seasons of my life? Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I built my life around you. But time makes you bolder, even children get older, and I'm getting older too. Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I built my life around you. But time makes you bolder, even children get older, and I'm getting older too. Oh, and I'm getting older too. Oh, take my love, take it down. I climbed a mountain and it turned around. And if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills, when the landslide bring me down. And if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills,
is my friend. For when the busy day goes by, as sad and lonely heart of I, night is my friend. Long days I spend, and when I go from place to place, I seek and never find your face. Night is my friend, for when the nights are burning low and I am on my own, I close my eyes and then I know that I am not alone. For night, in the end, will bring to me that peace of mind and comfort all true lovers find. Their dreams can send. So night, sweet lovely night, my friend.
That was The Unthanks with Night is My Friend, which it is. From 2017's Diversions Vol 4, the songs and poems of Molly Drake. Extras. Tracy Thorn covered that as well. I could have actually put her cover in actually, but after the nightmare of finding out the cover I wanted to do was that I didn't want to risk it because it's a compilation of her covers, so it's probably on there as well. And then we had Niels Fram and John Hopkins before, so we had to have Daniel Avery. It's the law, and that's First Light from 2018's Song for Alpha. And then I'm really surprised I haven't played this before. The cover of Fleetwood Mac's Landslide by Anthony, as they were known then. They're now known as Anony. That's from 2012's Just Tell Me That You Want Me, a tribute to Fleetwood Mac. I think it might be a Mojo cover album or something. Then before that we had Low. On the Bath Time playlist there is so much Low. It's kind of like 50% Low. But a lot of it I've played already. Back in the day I used to regularly play Low on the podcast, so most of them have been played to death anyway. But that one interestingly hasn't, and that's Just Make It Stop. A sentiment I can really agree with nowadays. Not just with grief. I'm sure it's probably about heartbreak, but it feels like that song was about grief. But it could be a lot of things, because what's going on in the world. It's a common sentiment of just made it stop. And it's made sadder by the loss a few years ago of Mimi Parker. I've got a whole load of Alan Sparhawk solo stuff, and that I need to actually check out. I haven't. And that's from 2013's The Invisible Way. To start the section we had The Unthanks again with Bird in the Blue, and a bit of I think it's called The Blue Plate is the poem. Again, another poem and song by Molly Drake. If you haven't checked out Molly Drake's songs, please do. Some of them are just really sad. I mean, there's one that, this is kind of a fairly sad playlist, and this is the reason why I generally don't make podcasts very often anymore, because I just don't want to be like a broken record, but I can't do happy up-tempo podcasts anymore. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. A bit, and then I have to stay true to, how I feel. And this year has been probably worse than 2024 and 2025. It's been a bit of a nightmare. It's like, I can't really just say, oh, yeah, everything's happy, everything's fine. I can't fake that. It's just not going to happen. But there's a song called Set Me Free by which the Old Tanks did a version of. Oh, if you thought Nick Drake's last album was dark, that song is very dark. You can see where Nick got it from. I will say that Molly Drake is her own artist and very different in many ways to Nick's work. Some of it might be a little bit dated, but a lot of it is very beautiful and surprisingly deep, and a lot more people should know about it, basically. People who are Nick obsessive know about Molly, but I think everyone should know about Molly. So I said about at the start with the Goodbye Horses covers, I'm going to play another one, and again this is another one. There are a couple of mixes of this, but this is another one which Wonk No on Twitch regularly plays a version of, and it was 50-50 whether to play this or the Crosses, so it's kind of a bit out of place here really, but I really wanted to play both versions. So this is Psych with Goodbye Horses, the Immortality mix.
from afar. I could learn you like the blinded would do, feeling a way through the dark. In the darkened house of love, I felt like I was sleeping rough. The bath ran cold. If this is a palace, then that was a squad. Baby, there's have-alls and there are have-nots. I'm happy with what I've got. Winter was long, now we've come to feast. We may be savage and raw, but at the core we've higher needs. Our palace, the past pose faces of those who vaguely resemble love, but weren't close enough. You remind me of the person I wanted to be before I forgot. Our palace, it's our palace, our palace. Winter was long, but now we've come to feast. We may be savage and raw, but at the core we've higher needs.
Welcome the spring, the summer rain, softly turn to sing again. Welcome the bud, the summer blooming flower. Welcome the child whose hand I hold. Welcome to you, both young and old. We are ever new. We are ever new. Welcome the spring, the summer rain, softly turn to sing again. Welcome the bud, the summer blooming flower. Welcome the child whose hand I hold. Welcome to you, both young and old. We are ever new. We are ever new. the spring, the summer rain softly turn to sing again. Welcome the bud, the summer blooming flower. Welcome the child whose hand I hold. Welcome to you, both young and old. We are ever new. We are ever
sorry eyes, we cut the bond and make it hard. Leave you alone, leave you here, wearing your bones, waving your guns. Somebody new. Baby, I'm lost. Baby, I'm lost. Baby, you're lost cause there's too many people you used to know. They see you coming, see you go. Know your secrets, you know this. This town is crazy, nobody cares. Baby, I'm lost. Baby, I'm lost. Baby, I'm lost cause tired of fighting, I'm tired of fighting, fighting for a lost cause. There's a place where you are going, you ain't never been before. No one laughing at your back now. No one standing at your door. Is that what you thought love was for? Baby, I'm lost. Baby, I'm lost. Baby, I'm lost cause I'm tired of fighting, tired of fighting, fighting for a lost cause.
If this world is wearing thin and you're thinking of escape, I'll go anywhere with you. Just wrap me up in chains. But if you try to go out alone, don't think I'll understand. Stay with me. Stay with me in the silence of your room, in the darkness of your dreams. You must only think of me. There can be no in between. When your pride is on the floor, I'll make you beg for more. Stay with me. Stay with me. You better hope and pray that you make it safe back to your own world. You'd better hope and pray that you wake one day in your own world. 'Cause when you sleep at night, they won't hear your cries in your own world. Only time will tell if you can break the spell back in your own world. Stay with me. 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 Stay with me.
I'm always a mess after that song. That's Annie Brunn and her cover of the Shakespeare sister track Stay from 2017's Leave Me Breathless, which seems to be appropriate subtitle for that song. Then before that, just because I really wanted to hear it, and you almost got the Lottie Kestner cover, but I've played it before in a previous podcast. That's Beck, Lost Cause, and I have to say, for contractual reasons, that's the Union Chapel BBC 4-session version, not the version that is on the album, because guess what? It's UMG. So I'm hoping that one will be alright, go under the radar, because it's not. It's a BBC radio session, so it's not the original. Then before that, we had... I said I'd play some more Beverly Glenn Copeland, and there we are with Ever New. I've played Ever New, the original before, from I think it's 1989, something like that, 91. Yeah. But that's a new version from his new album, which is Laughter in Summer. Really nice album, well worth getting. Check it out. And their interview on Six Music. I mean, it's always delightful to hear Glenn speak. He was going to retire, and then it was like, what? I don't want to stay here and garden and I'm bored and, I don't want to, this is what I do. So they went back on the road, which is good. Then before that was Hannah Peel with her cover of the Wild Beast song Palace. I love Wild Beasts. I played lots of Wild Beasts on this podcast over the years. That's from her Reeboks compilations. That's Reeboks 2 from 2015. Again, surprised I haven't played that one. What basically she does, that she creates a musical box with the song and then she plays it as she sings along. So that benefits from amplification. When she does it live, it's kind of has to be quite quiet because the music box isn't really loud. It's to be right by the mic and then she just sort of lean in and it's quite sort of intimate but also quite difficult. It's one of those ones where you don't wind up and play it, you actually have to keep winding it as you go along. Constantly having to wind at a consistent rate. There must be a real knack to that. And then at the start of that section we had Psych with Goodbye Horses Immortality Mix from 2012's The Influence 23rd Anniversary Edition. Back in the 90s, Psych did a cover of Goodbye Horses and that's a newer mix of it. Yes. And I hope you heard all the little bath references and lyrics and water and throughout this podcast. There's very rarely a track that's just random in everything I do, and I think most people miss it. But I'm always good at or bad, making sure there's a link between everything and it sort of flows musically but also flows thematically. It's been a weird time. I think it's been a weird time for a lot of people. It's not just me. But it was very strange at the talk about the logbooks. I went there for John, but then you're about 10 years younger than me, but the generation that grew up with Section 28. It's interesting because I never really thought about that. I never really thought about how it affected me. I felt like a bit of a fraud because I wasn't on the barricades and I wasn't fighting the AIDS crisis because I was a bit too young, marching for rights and things like that because I was still, in college or still in school. But I was affected. Because you couldn't get any sex education at all. I got my sex education from other gay men. I never got any education from school about any of that. You couldn't, even acknowledge queer people. You couldn't acknowledge any of those things. And it's interesting. Adam talked about how his home life, his family or parents gave him the trainers and things, but neglected. I totally resonated with that because I've had, similar in my life where your sort of parents always say, oh, you had everything. Well, not really, because if you don't acknowledge it and it's silent, school can't talk about it and no one can talk about it, it leaves a massive void in your life and it leaves a massive we didn't have really many role models. It really does leave a a void where you feel like you're on your own. We weren't on our own, and there was lots of people like John who were fighting for these things, but it was purposefully made that we couldn't connect with those people. Eventually I did, and because I liked older men, I did connect with the generation above me, but not easy to find it in the first place because it's pushed into the boundaries and made to be that the actual paedophiles made out, the Epsteins of this world, child molesters made out that queer people were, child molesters and perverts and inverts and wrong people, and that gas left an effect on me more than I thought they had, which I'm still trying to deal with. And then there's also the gender stuff as well, which is also in the logbooks because Tash is gender fluid. So it is an ongoing process, but the damage was done to several generations, and they're trying to do it again. They're trying to recreate this playbook in America and also here as well. The newest battleground is transgender us trans folks, but they will go back to doing the same thing as they did with Clause 28 for lesbian and gay people as well, and bisexual and everyone else. They just want to push us all into the fringes again. And this always happens, that as things start to progress, there's always this pushback, and it's quite a violent one. And it's one of the reasons why I'm kind of glad. I've not said this before, but I'm not glad John died, but I'm glad he's not here to see this. He would be appalled by the fascism and what's happening, and would want to fight, and he was too old for that. I still wish he was here, but what's the only silver lining is that he didn't get to see this. Fascism Part 2, cheery, I know, cheery times. So I'm going to play out with a track. You've heard this track again, but I love this version, and I thought it was a new version because I think they've re-released it on vinyl, and it turns out it's actually from 2013. I didn't realise that mentioning we've had some Wild Beasts and we've had some John Hopkins and Hayden Thorpe of Wild Beasts did a cover of Goodbye Horses in 2013 on a re-release of Goodbye Horses back in the hinterlands before the documentary, which I've not seen, and before the sort of reappraisal. And I hope you're well. I hope I don't know when I'll do another podcast, and these are this is the spring podcast in a way, and hence all the spring stuff in here accidentally, but I don't know when I'll do another one. It really depends on my mood. It really depends how I feel, and if music excites me, which I have comes and goes. Anyway, I'll speak to you soon, or at some point.
I've seen you rise, but it always falls. I've seen him come, I've seen him go. You say all things pass into the night, and I say, oh no, sir, I must say you're wrong. I must disagree. Oh no, sir, I must say you're wrong. Won't you listen to me? I've seen it all before. I've been there. I've seen my hopes and dreams are lying on the ground. I've seen the sky just begin to fall. He said, all things pass into the night, and I say, oh no, sir, I must say you're wrong. I must disagree. Oh no, sir, I must say you're wrong. Won't you listen to me? Goodbye, horses, I'm flying over you. Goodbye, horses, I'm flying over you.
The logbooks are a treasure trove, and the once living archives like John Lindsay are even more valuable. During the writing of this book, John died. It was August 2024, and it had been exactly a year since Tash had sat down and interviewed him in the Barbican Library. It was hard to hear the news. Tash attended his funeral at Pembroke Lodge in Richmond Park, London. She wore shorts, like John always did. His partner Tim spoke gently, through tears, of meeting John 27 years ago and their life together. People shared memories of their times with John in the GLF, living with him in the squats of East London, and how he believed in the power of sharing information. They recounted tales of stubbornness and gruffness throughout his life, but also confusion near the end. In a moment where people were invited to share their memories, Tash stood up and shared hers. I'm so glad she did. She wanted everyone there to know that John had heard Switchboard's phone ring out for the first time. And by the time of his death, 50 years later, the charity had taken over 4 million calls. The last founding member of Switchboard that we could find was gone. Tash had managed to record John and capture his memories of setting up Switchboard and writing all those index cards in his own words. And now they are all laid out in this book. So many more comrades have been lost. And that's The Blog Books by Tash Walker and Adam Smith. Out now. It's a good book. I'm so proud to be part of that. But I'm so proud that John is part of that. I'm so proud I am part of that. They mentioned the funeral.